in a secluded private studio setting somewhere in Vegas. I'm not even exactly sure where. Tuesday night fights. I mean, it's ESPN broadcast worldwide, so it's going to get a lot of exposure. A lot of eyes will be on that fight. I think the last few sporting events that have slowly crept back into existence, the ratings are through the numbers or through the roof because there's nothing else to watch.
There really is nothing at all.
Dude, I've been watching every Married with Children rerun possible.
I've watched a lot on Netflix, and I'll tell you right now, Netflix has no movies whatsoever. They're like absolutely terrible, but
they have a lot of just original programming, right? Like shows that they're doing and stuff.
They're terrible.
Terrible.
I can't believe The Walking Dead's still on.
See, that's a show that I've never watched one episode of my entire life. I hear it's good, but I just never could get into sitting and watching it. Usually I was probably passed out asleep before it came on.
So Chon Cepeda.
Jose Chon Cepeda, rated right now, I think number 4, number 5 at junior welterweight in the world. Arguably, in my opinion, his record, I think it currently stands at 30 wins, 2 losses, 1 no contest with, I can't remember how many knockouts, but both losses are
questionable.
Disputable.
Very questionable.
Both.
Well, the Terry Flanagan and then obviously against Ramirez. They're both very questionable.
Ramirez.
Well, Flanagan was just bad circumstances, circumstances. Dude, what the hell's wrong with my mouth right now? I think it's because there's a delay.
Your audio is kind of cutting in and out, at least on my headphones.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
I can hear you now because it was cutting out in and out. I think you have to kind of face that mic. When
yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
I can't hear you.
All right, better.
Yeah, that's better.
There we go. Better.
Yeah, that's better. Okay,
awesome.
so Tuesday. It's a Tuesday night fight, July the 7th on ESPN. No fans in attendance. I was told by Chon's brother Rene Cepeda that they've basically all they've told them is that they can have one cornerman, the fighter and one cornerman. So I said,
crazy.
So apparently, the cornerman has to then double as the cutman. So, knock on wood, Chon, stays safe in that fight and doesn't get opened up. But in his last couple fights, he's been opened up both times. He got opened up late against Pedraza. He was winning the fight handily, but I mean, I don't know if it was a headbutt or if it was a punch, but it happened very late in the fight, which was good. But then in the Ramirez fight, he cut probably I think midway through the fight, and it wasn't wasn't a bad cut, but it was still probably bothersome. So let's just hope that that doesn't happen in this fight on the 7th.
Yeah, I just rewatched the fight myself, and I definitely liked a lot of the things that God, man, my delay on my thing is driving me nuts. Can you hear me better? I'm hating it. Can you hear me? You can hear me better, right?
On the YouTube stream, it's not really delaying, but just between you and I, there's a delay.
But when you hear a delay, it messes with your speech pattern.
Yeah.
That's why I keep So getting back to what I was saying is that I thought Cepeda looked devastating in a lot of ways against Pedraza. I think, honestly, a little bit more superior than Lomachenko. He didn't take the same amount of punches that Lomachenko took against Pedraza.
Pedraza gave Lomachenko a tough fight.
Very tough fight. Very tough fight.
Finally, was able to break through. Was he the 11th round? I think is when he dropped Pedraza with a body shot, maybe, or kind of just overwhelmed him. And I think he went down twice in that round. But up until that fight, he gave Lomachenko some fits just because his length and his range. He's tall.
Yeah, Pedraza's a big guy. He's like a Linares. He's a big guy for that weight. So.
Yeah. Now this Baranchik kid appears to be. He might be a little bit taller than Chon, but he's kind of squared up. He seems like a tough guy. Like physically strong, body wise. He's body strong, but I don't necessarily think he's got the greatest punch, and I don't particularly think he's got a great chin. So I think if Chong could catch him clean, he could take this guy out.
Absolutely. I mean, Chon, I think he has about 28 or 29 knockouts on his record.
Yeah, he's got a few knockouts. I mean, he's got power.
Yeah, he does.
He definitely does have power, especially in that right hook, and then he's got a beautiful straight left. So
I think the issue is with Chon is he just has to stay confident. He has to stick to the game plan and just do his thing, and not question himself. Like what happened in the Pedraza fight. About midway through the fight, he started to question himself. And people were saying he was getting tired. He wasn't getting tired. Do you agree?
Yeah, and then I think, like I said, we did attend those fights a few months back, and we're talking to Chon, and he self-admittedly he said, he says there were times where, and not that he's not a confident person, he's a very confident person, but there were times in a boxing match where you kind of gotta, ask yourself, hey, can I just push on? And I think when you and I talked to him, there was a little something different about his mindset going forward. He feels like in his own head, he feels like he's passed the test. Remember, he said his confidence now, and he said that the lessons he learned from those two fights to be able to push on gave him the confidence to know that I can do it now against two world-class fighters. Ramirez, arguably the best fighter at 140. I mean, it's right now it's between him and Josh Taylor, I think, for dominance at 140 pounds, with Prograis recently losing to Taylor, losing his title. He's still definitely top 5, but I mean, so it isn't like he had to question himself, against a marginal contender or somebody, that was just fed to him, just a stay busy fight. He actually went in there and back-to-back fights with two top-notch junior welterweights, world-class junior welterweights. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at his resume, I mean, he's always fought whoever's out there. But I think he's also a guy that's kind of been overlooked by a lot of people in the
very, very, very much so. Very much so.
And he's a guy that can really shake things up. I mean, everybody's talking about, Lomachenko facing against Lopez and this and this and that. Chon could fit right in there later on,
Well, here's the thing, though. See, I've watched Chon train for a couple of different camps, and I'm watching him train now. Physically, at this point, I don't think he could get back down to 135 and not leave everything in the gym. So the talk of Lomachenko and Lopez, to me, is not realistic because I don't ever see him going back down to 135. Now, if those guys eventually go up to 140, I don't see Lomachenko going to 140.
Yeah.
Teofimo,
you don't think he does?
Lomachenko, no. He doesn't have to. I think, if anything, Lomachenko could go back down and fight at 130 if he wanted to. He could make that weight still comfortably. Now, Teofimo is definitely going to move up from 135 to 140. He's talking about he'll go as high as 154, which is just asinine for him to even think he can go to 154. Too small, too hittable to go to 154. Do you imagine him at 154 fighting a guy like Jaime Munguia? I mean, Jaime's moved up to 160, but you could imagine a Jared Hurd or Jermel Charlo at 154
But
pounds.
that's always been Lopez's his IQ.
He just talks out of his ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's always talk, and just all he has to focus on right now is Lomachenko.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, anyways, getting back to the Zepeda fight, AJ, I think this is the year he gets through this fight. I think by the end of this year, 2020, he'll have that crack at a title, and maybe the third time's the charm. Maybe everything will fall into line. There won't be any, technical draw or questionable hometown decision, because that's what I feel. And he admittedly too will say, I'm not taking nothing away from Ramirez, but you got to remember, like, a fight is 12 rounds, a title fight. You can't just judge the last 4 rounds of the fight and listen to what the crowd is doing and ignore what happened in rounds 1 through 8, which I thought Chon won 6 of the first 8 rounds. One, I think definitely. The 5th round was close, but he no doubt won at least 6 of those first 8 rounds. And now the last few rounds, especially the 12th round, Chon actually had a great 12th round in that fight. If you look at the fight, he won the 12th round.
He actually was swinging a little wild, which isn't really his style, but I think that was just him saying, I'm not leaving it to the judges, you know. So.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, a fight's 12 rounds, and when, you know, it's, I don't know, it's like, you know, like a football game's 4 quarters. You don't reset again in the 4th quarter. You don't go, okay, you guys, we're down 21-0, but we're going to start all over again in the 4th quarter. No. Those early rounds, he racked up points in those early rounds, but whatever. Maybe one day, maybe after this fight, maybe he gets a rematch with Ramirez, but I don't particularly see Ramirez staying there. I think he's going to try to go up to 147, and I don't think, honestly, he wants to fight Cepeda again, because that was a tough fight.
It was a tough fight.
Where he got busted up pretty good. So did Pedraza. Pedraza got busted up pretty good too. Nobody has ever really busted Pedraza up. He's lost fights, but you know, he had the early stoppage to Tank Davis, but it wasn't an accumulation. It was just I think he got overwhelmed.
That wasn't the best of Pedraza in that fight, though.
No, agreed. Agreed.
You know, so they knew when to get him. They knew when to get Pedraza in the ring. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fighters out there that are always looking for that advantage.
Yeah,
and he's one of them. So
in terms of fights that are out on the immediate horizon, that definitely is my number one fight. I can't wait to see that fight. I wish that fight was happening next week, but you know, there's about 5 more weeks till fight. So hopefully,
the victory, which I anticipate Chon's going to do, I think he's going to do it in dramatic fashion too. I think he's going to make a statement. You're absolutely right. When we talked with him at the Quite Cannon.
Yeah, Montebello. Yeah, local show.
There's a different aura about him. Like you said, more confidence. Like you said, he's passed the test. I think he feels he belongs where he's at now. He has an identity. So now it's just all up to him.
Yeah, and like I said, I know it's early in camp, but so far he's looking good. He's already sparring. He sparred with a lightweight, and then he's been sparring also with a junior middleweight, a big junior middleweight, a big tough junior middleweight, who can fight at 147, but he probably walks around. He probably, you know, when he trains, he fights anywhere from 154 to 160, but he could get down to 147. So he's fighting a quick guy. He's fighting a strong, durable guy, and I think that's what he's going to get with Baranchik is a strong, durable guy who does have some speed and some. Obviously, he's got some ability. He's an Eastern European fighter, and they have long. I don't know what his amateur background was, but I can't imagine he had anything less than 100 to 150 fights, because all those guys fight that many fights.
Oh yeah, they all do. They all do.
So that one is Tuesday, July the 7th on ESPN.
And that's going to be a good one. I mean, for people that haven't seen Chon Cepeda fight before, don't miss it.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the call, the ratings for this fight are going to be phenomenal, because I think at that point I don't even think basketball or baseball is going to be started quite yet. So Tuesday night, people sitting around at home, most of the country will hopefully be out of lockdown. But like I said, there's still not a lot of pro sports on TV. People are going to tune in for that fight, and this is a chance for Chon to really kind of make an impression on a multitude of people. Several million people will tune in to watch that fight from coast to coast and worldwide on ESPN. So
tell me this,
like you said, he looks devastating. He wins in devastating fashion. And maybe like, hey man, where'd this guy come from? And it's like he's been there the whole time, but you know,
politics. Just didn't know.
Politics, man.
But there's a lot of fighters that are kind of in that same category right now, where people don't know about them. Even a guy who's also fighting next week in Navarrete.
Yeah, Emmanuel, let's talk about him. He's fighting next week in Mexico, right?
Yeah, and I don't believe an opponent's been named. I haven't seen one yet.
It's just a stay busy fight, basically, then.
Yeah. I mean, the fact he's getting an opportunity to fight, you know?
And that's a guy that's always in the gym. I mean, he's awkward. That guy's an awkward, and he's a big fighter. Matter of fact, we were all just talking about him the other day at the gym. We were talking about the dream matchup would be him versus Ray Vargas at 122. I think that'd be because both are long, awkward, rangy. They throw a lot of punches, and I would favor Navarrete in that fight because I think he's got a much more durable body and chin than Ray Vargas. But that would be a great fight.
I just think fundamentally, Navarrete still has a lot of holes.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
once he kind of gets up there with the fighter who's a little bit beyond what he's already fought, he might run into some trouble.
Well. Here's the thing. Everybody that he's fought so far has had a perfect fight for Navarrete, not for themselves.
Yeah,
Dog Bay tried to stand and trade with them.
exactly.
Um,
But what happens
as
when
you
he
can
gets
hear
in there with?
the Vaca fight and whoever he fought last, I can't remember the name and it escapes me. But everybody just kind of stood right there and tried to trade with this guy. You're not going to beat that guy standing and trading in the middle of the ring. It's going to take a slick boxer, a boxer puncher, because you got to keep him honest. You can't just, just try to move for 12 rounds. You got to be able to put a little something on him to kind of, blunt his attack, so to speak.
You know who Navarrete really reminds me a lot, and you may not agree with me. Santa Cruz.
Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, Santa Cruz, I think,
Pressure
is a more
fighter, just a lot of very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see that. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be a tune-up fight for Navarrete.
Just a stay busy fight, basically.
That's all it is. I mean, there's not really an announcement of a lot of fights that are happening right now. Also in the news, I know they talked about Andy Ruiz signed with the Reynosos. I'm sorry, not the Reynosos. Yeah, the Reynosos. He's fighting with Canelo's camp.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get too excited. I don't see how the Reynosos are going to change what Manny Robles couldn't fix, but that's just me. What do you think?
Well, look, it's very simple. He went from Abel Sanchez. He was with Freddie Roach, Abel Sanchez, Manny Robles, now Eddie Reynoso. There's at this point, there's, and we've said that, we talked about this on this show before. At this point in a fighter's career, not much changes except the day and the time. Not much changes in their style. I mean, I hear people talking ever since the Wilder fight that Tyson Fury was able to change his style in one fight. No, he wasn't. He changed the tactics, but his style was the same.
Yeah.
His style was still the same. But, I mean, his style was the same. He still threw the same kinds of punches, but instead of fighting off the back foot, he just came forward. Andy Ruiz is always going to be a come forward fighter. At what point do you think Andy Ruiz is going to turn to a boxer and move? Never. He doesn't have the leg.
I think they have this misconception that they're going to make him like as elusive as Canelo is, and that's never going to happen. Don't get me wrong.
He's quick. He's got quick hands.
Yeah.
But body wise, that frame, he's not a fleet-footed guy. He'll never will be. He'll admit that himself.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, even with that style, I know people were hoping that Joshua was going to get into this barn war with Ruiz in the rematch. And that was never going to happen because Joshua knows he doesn't have a chin. He wasn't going to put himself in that situation again. So Andy Ruiz can go in there with that same mentality against a guy like Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, even Dillian White or somebody else. And it's a big mistake. That's where he has to be elusive.
Yeah. And like you said, at this point, I don't know how can you make somebody like him. I mean, Andy Ruiz has never been hard to hit.
I just think without a title, there's not a whole lot of interest there in the boxing world. Nobody's like sitting back and going, "Oh, I can't wait till everything's over and I can see Andy Ruiz in the ring again against Carlos Tascam." I mean, I
wanted to see Andy Ruiz maybe a fight with the Polish heavyweight Kovnatski. I think that would be a very entertaining fight.
It'd be a fun fight.
Both guys are gonna stay. Huh?
You're back.
We're back. Okay, I don't know what happened.
No, I was on the whole time. You like froze up for a moment.
Oh, okay. Because on mine, it's not us.
It's not us. It's YouTube. It's not us. But
it's either YouTube or it's got to be our internet providers. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're not compatible. I don't know.
No, we never really had this problem before, but everybody's having the same problems. But getting back to what we're saying is,
this is.
I knew going into that, and I'm not trying to dredge up old memories, but the Adam Kowalski fight against Robert Helenius, I favored Helenius going to that fight. I had the feeling that Helenius was going to upset him. I didn't think it was going to be an upset in my eyes because I didn't see nothing special in Kowalski, other than a guy who just goes in there and throws a lot of
Me
punches.
neither.
You know, and I just didn't get it. And what was his good fight? The one that kind of gave him Ariola, right?
Yeah, they set a record for I think well pretty close to a record for the amount of punches
let's
they threw.
be honest. You know, Cristobal's he's been done for a while. He's not the same guy he was when he was fighting against Klitschko's. So if you're
No,
going
I
to
mean,
reel
and,
off
he,
that,
and he's a guy who seriously contemplated retirement a few years ago. But God bless
Yeah.
him. I mean, he was still competitive, I think, and he put on a
Yeah.
good show. No, but like I said, I mean, I agree with you. Kovnatski's never really impressed me. The one thing, or his one attribute that people gave him credit for, or were hoping, is they said this guy's durable. This guy's durable. He stands right in front of you, hit him, and he just keeps coming. Well, Robert Helenius proved that he's not that durable, because Helenius dropped him and hurt him bad, and ended up stopping him. And at one point, Helenius, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, was considered a big puncher, but in his last several fights, he just really hasn't shown it. So you're thinking, if Helenius is doing this to him, what would have happened if he would have gotten there with like a Deontay Wilder or Luis Ortiz? Even a guy like a Joe Joyce or somebody, or the Nigerian kid, his name escapes me right now, the big heavyweight. And if
Effie
Ajagba. And if he comes down with one of those just big, powerful right hands, I mean, that could have been it.
And he's not a big guy for the division. He's
he's heavy, and he's wide, but he's not tall.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't move his head.
No.
So
he's there to be hit. He's there to be hit all night.
He's like a Polish Randall.
And I felt bad for the kid. I did. I felt bad for him because he seems like he's a good kid, but
he did.
They really disrespected Helenius.
Oh yeah.
They forgot that this guy and what he was, and Helenius was very confident going into the fight, and you saw it afterwards. It was like I knew I was going to do that.
He looked in shape.
Oh, he looked great.
So I like Helenius. We've always liked Robert Helenius, and we were actually very disappointed when his injuries kind of started mounting up, and then he would have these long stretches in between fights, and then guys he was supposed to knock out, I don't remember who it was, but he lost a fight that he wasn't supposed to lose. Yeah. And then the Gerald Washington fight, to me, in my opinion, he was dominating that fight on the cards, and then he got hurt and hit, and it was like, what the hell? It's like, what happened to this guy? But
well, with this win, I mean, he's kind of catapulted himself back into the division, so we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, because the same people that were right there ready to give Kovnatski a title shot, he gets knocked out by Helenius. You can't just overlook the fact that, hey, I know this isn't basketball. It's not about a triangle theory, but you can't disregard or marginalize what he just accomplished. No, Kovnatski was being positioned to be the next guy challenging, probably right behind Andy Ruiz. Mm-hmm. And in the everyday looking dad bod kind of tough, durable heavyweight. So give Helenius a shot or at least a payday, a decent payday. I think he's earned it.
Better than watching Dillian White or one of these other guys. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Dillian White. I mean, his fight with Marius Walk on the Joshua Reese undercard. I remember we called that fight live. That was atrocious. That was 10 rounds of pure hell watching that fight. And of course, when the cards were read, you're like, what fight were these guys watching? I mean, to me that fight was a toss up. And then afterwards, Dillian says, "Well, I really didn't train right," and blah blah. Come on, everybody uses that same excuse.
I mean, that comes
You're professional
in everything right now. I mean, every division is kind of like positioning themselves for the big comeback because of the whole COVID-19 thing. So obviously you got Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know if it's been signed yet. That's a one down the line.
Yeah, is that fight going to happen? I mean,
I'm hearing it's going to happen. I know Canelo's people are saying they've already done everything on their part. They've already signed everything. I don't know if it's Billy Joe Saunders people holding up. I'm not saying Billy Joe Saunders doesn't want to fight Canelo because I know he does. I personally think Billy Joe can make a good account of himself, but I don't think he's skilled enough based on his last few performances to beat Canelo. I think Canelo is at the top of his game right now, defensive-wise, confidence-wise. After doing what he did to Kovalov and a few others, he's bringing a lot of confidence into the ring.
No, Canelo is at the top of his game right now. I mean, if what they considered a peak or a prime, he's in it right now.
Yeah.
He's in it right now. He can't get much better. I mean, the only thing that we can hope for is maybe he does fight some of the younger, bigger, stronger guys in the division. And Billy Joe Saunders, physically he's bigger than Canelo, right? He's probably a couple inches taller, and he's a slick southpaw. But like you said, what Billy Joe Saunders is going to show up?
Exactly.
As of late, if that Billy Joe Saunders shows up, he might even get stopped. Yeah. Midway through the fight. I mean, if he's because Canelo's not going to look at. Canelo's very proud, and Billy Joe Saunders, his MO has always been trash talk, disrespectful. He's kind of like a white version of Bernard Hopkins, just a trickster making jokes and this and that, and always trying to be coy and try to be funny. Well, Canelo won't stand for that. He'll keep his composure, but on fight night he'll lose his cool, and on fight night he can do some damage to Billy Joe. And I particularly, there was a period in my life where I wanted to see Billy Joe do well because I thought he had skills, but with his antics over the last couple of years and then whatever, getting popped for the banned substances and then pulling out of the Demetrius Andrade fight. I just think the guy, I don't know if the guy really wants to fight the top guys. Obviously, he wants to fight Canelo because that's going to be a career high payday. That's retirement money right there.
He's going to get a retirement disappointed when his fight against Andrade fell through because I honestly thought that Billy Joe was going to beat Demetrius. I think Demetrius is one of the more overrated fighters in the division. I see nothing in the guy. He's wild. His last fight, he looked absolutely mediocre.
Yeah, he did not look good his last fight.
I'll tell you right now, if Andre's looking for an opponent, I would love to see him step in there with Munguia later on, if he's ready. I think
Munguia needs to get maybe another 1 or 2 fights under, But I do have this on good authority that the mid-September date in Vegas is booked for Canelo. He is going to fight in mid-September.
Okay.
So, and then on the undercard, there's a few other fights that I know of right now that are going to be in the undercard. I can't say anything right now. You know what I'm talking about, but we can't say anything public right now. We're going to keep it quiet. But so that, and if somehow Munguia is able to get a fight on that card as well, that could shape up to be a really, really good event. And by September, Vegas should be wide open. And in fact, if it is in mid-September, it just keeps freezing.
I'm looking at the thing right now. We're dropping. It's detecting frame rates. It's not us. I'm on Fios. It's not our internet connection. I don't even get it. I already got.
They don't like us.
They don't like us. So you know what? I was going to talk with you about this. About moving formats. I think we're going to go over and start doing it over Twitch, which is a real popular format. A lot of people don't seem to have as many issues. I've been running some test runs. And then maybe we'll try out the new Facebook Live. Is that a
format where you can kind of record it, make sure it's clean, and
then release it? We go live through their format, Twitch or Facebook Live, and not worry about YouTube because YouTube's just been... I mean, come on, let's be honest. They've never gave us the love that we deserve. Going back to when we made our video with our band Reclaim the Sky years ago that did so well. I mean, how many times did they lock us down and claim we were using bots? And we didn't even know. We're like, what the hell's a bot? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they were going, why is this band
we're sorry we got 9,000 views in the first hour, I'm sorry.
And then it just froze.
Yeah.
It's shadow banning. It's like they do on Twitter. Like there's certain people that talk about they've been stuck on a certain number for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And they're constantly being contacted by people saying, hey, my subscription to you dropped off without my consent. How did that happen? So it's happening. It's happening. It's fucking YouTube.
And I'm not trying to bash any formats out there, but there's just been a lot of problems that I just think it's ridiculous and how they set their standards and their policies and what they consider offensive and what they consider acceptable. We can say certain things that maybe they don't agree with, and next thing you know, an Ariana Grande or a Demi Lovato could do something different, and
they get a pass. Yeah.
Who cares? It's about boxing today, and this crazy world we're in. I got riots going on around here in Chino Hills.
Oh Jesus! I know
Cars
that
going crazy.
in L.A. there's shit's popping off. I know in Rancho Cucamonga there was something going off yesterday. Nothing bad. And then Fontana, something happened a couple nights ago. And then um, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's just opportunistic people just looking to, in my opinion, they're just to me they're just shaming the tragic death of a man with this nonsensical behavior, man. This is just ridiculous.
I agree, bro. And the thing is, it's like, I think even if George Floyd, if he was able to say something right now, he would even kind of like denote something and say like, "Hey guys, it's like,
Well, his family has come
you
out
know,
and
tearing
said you're
apart.
shaming
You
his
don't want
memory.
my, you don't want to tarnish my memory by ripping off purses from Louis Vuitton or stuff from Target. That's not helping the cause. We know what the root of the problem is. You know, I'm not against law enforcement, but I do believe that there needs to be some reform.
There
They
does.
need to realize that you can uphold the law if you break the law, and breaking the law says, and the law says you can't walk up and just hit a person in the face. You can't throw a person to the ground. When they start treating people like people, then I think they're going to get treated like people. This is
Yeah,
only going to get
dude,
worse.
that's a great analogy, dude. What did you say at the beginning? You said you can't uphold the law by breaking the law or something like that,
Yeah,
or
I mean, you know,
yeah,
because you have an oath, and like I said, I don't want to turn this into this, but you know, we're here, so and there's not a whole lot going on in boxing right now, so what the hell.
yeah,
But the thing is, it's like, you know, you look at the world and what's going on right now, and in every civil servant occupation, whether it be a USPS like myself, an officer, whatnot, we take an oath. And the oath is to do your job to the best of your dignity, by at the same time preserving the rights of the people that we're paid to serve.
yeah,
And when you start to abuse those and you have this attitude and you drop F bombs on people, you can't look at everybody in the world like they're bad. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm not a criminal. I'm not a person who has this malice way of thinking. But at the same time, you know, the first thing when they pull you over, you know, it's like, you know, let me see your hands, you know, and they're so trigger happy. I'm going to put it this way. We're both former fighters, boxers. And I've never ran from a fight. You've never ran from a fight, whether it be in the ring or on the street. And the bottom line is, if you fear for your safety every single day at the job that you're doing, then you're doing the wrong job.
yeah,
Go do
yeah,
something safe. You know,
yeah. We were
it's not.
talking the
I
other.
don't
We were
walk up to a house, some shady looking house, with a bunch of, you know, hard ankles sitting in front of it, and reach for my dog spray. You know, it ain't gonna help me. So when you start to treat everybody like that, and I'm not saying, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I think what that officer did to this guy was beyond horrible.
yeah.
I think he
I
deserves
agree.
to spend the rest of his life in prison thinking about it. There is no excuse. When a man, you know, calls out for help and says, I can't breathe, if you can't show any compassion, then you're a robot. And I blame every other officer that was standing there watching the same thing. And that's scary to me because we both have children and we may not be around forever.
Yeah,
And what happens later on?
yeah. It's true. We were talking about actually at the gym the other day. I was talking to me and Sean and his brother were talking about this situation, and I said, you know, police officers are human too, and they carry a lot of weight and a lot of problems with them. So if a cop, here's what our solution was. We kind of all three came to the conclusion that why don't they make it mandatory that before these guys actually get out and start patrolling, whether they get in their squad car, their motorcycle, whatever it is that they're doing, they need to have a 2 to 3 minute little psyche eval with, and I'm not talking about like a watch commander or the chief or whatever. They need to actually go sit down for 2 3 minutes with the counselor, somebody there who knows them, and they can ask them simple questions like, "How you doing today, Officer Jones? You doing good? How's everything at
Yeah.
home? How'd you sleep last night?
Almost like
Everything
a quick
okay?
little psychoanalysis.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Did
Yeah.
you take any medicine?" And I'm not sure if they do that now or not. I can't imagine they do because
No,
it's
they
probably
don't.
budgetary. They're like, oh, we can't afford it. But those guys, you when you turn those guys loose on the street, and I don't want to use the term letting them loose on the street is maybe not appropriate, but when they clock in and are out there patrolling and supposedly serving and protecting, they got to be in the right frame of mind. And
you have to be.
And it seems like I have heard of like psych evals, but it's always after the fact, after an incident, then they bring them in and talk to them. Well, I think you need to be proactive. You can't wait till like something happens. You can't say, oh, you know what? Oh, I left my windows down in my car. It stormed last night, so now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to clean it up. How about just roll the windows up so your car, if it does rain, you're protected. Same thing with the police officer.
I think one of the biggest problem is, bro, is that as an officer, you're supposed to uphold the Constitution. Okay?
Yes.
And state law will never supersede federal law. It's just the way it is. So whatever our governors want to plague on us at the moment, stuff like this, it doesn't mean it's legal. But
yeah, it's like they're writing the rules as they go.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got this mentality where you're so angry, and I've seen some of these officers where they're so angry and they're just looking for release. And the thing is, it's like, I've been put in that situation in my job where I've had people berate me. And I could have turned around and said, you know what, dude, F the job and knock the guy out. But no, that's not what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. There has to be a plan B. You have to be conditioned. It's not about just training with your weapon and learning how to shoot a target, which is shooting a person. It's about learning how to deal with the situation where you don't shoot a 16-year-old girl in the stomach that maybe just needed a hug. Or an old woman, throw her on the ground because she's not listening to your order. That's another thing that gets me. There's no such thing as orders. I mean, in my life, there's only two people in this world that give me orders. That's the big guy upstairs and my pops. That's it. Other than that, you lose teeth.
Yeah,
it's just frustrating right now because our world, I think we look like a joke. Nobody respects our president. And I said, whether you like him or you don't like him, mm-hmm. you have to still respect the office that he holds. And when you don't do that, other countries look at us like, God, man, these guys have no understanding of authority. And when you don't have an understanding of authority, you go back to things like the old Cornwallis days, it's not going to win in the face of war. All we're doing is weakening ourselves as a country by us destroying our businesses, because we're not hurting, the rich people down in Brentwood, or in wherever, Beverly Hills. It's a guy that's saved his entire life to open up an Ace Hardware. He's lost it. Yeah. My brother owns a business, and if he called me right now and told me, hey, bro, it's coming down the street, I'm going to find a way to get there and protect it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think everybody is of the equal opinion and mindset. Anybody with a rational train of thought and an IQ over 75 would agree that this looting and this rioting, this is not about being angry and protesting. No. This is just about opportunism. And it's I mean, I've heard it being blamed and on every organization under the sun, except for the ones I believe that are really truly behind it, which is this left-wing Antifa movement, these entitled kids that, maybe got, I don't know, probably the saddest thing about it is a lot of them are probably college educated, and they maybe, whatever studying they elected to do, whatever liberal arts subject was their major, they can't get a job now because of the pandemic. But even prior to the pandemic, I mean, there's just not a lot of jobs out there for these kinds of, majors and these kinds of study focuses. So these kids are frustrated, and their first reaction is well, I'm just going to blame the system because I can't, whatever. I mean, we've grown up. We have children. We have families. We have friends. We've lost friends to murder, to suicide, to prison. We've seen people flourish. Everybody has problems. Problems are not specific to one ethnic or age group. Everybody's got problems. So, but when you want to just lash out at the world, like I said, these young people, like right now rioting in LA, these young people, they were chanting at at the Grove, which is the shopping center there in very close to, it's on the border of, I think, Los Angeles and Beverly Hills. They were chanting, "Eat the rich, eat the rich, eat the rich." And these are all kids probably in their 20s, mid 20s. And it's like, eat the rich. It's like, yeah, you probably pulled up in a BMW.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you've lived in a
I
nice.
think not just that, bro. I was watching a thing where an officer was getting attacked, and a guy who was part of the whole destruction of everything going on pulled him aside, kind of saved him. And he was a cop, undercover cop. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know. Like he talked about with this Antifa and a lot of other things. So I think before people start following the violence,
they probably no doubt have some. They probably no doubt have some. I don't want to call them plans, but there's probably some undercovers mixing along. They're probably trying to see where these guys are getting their orders.
Yep.
What's the main point of contact that's organizing these protests? Because they don't just sprout up overnight like a mushroom. They're being planned somehow, some way. Absolutely. And it's just wrong. Like I said, at the end of we'll take a little quick journey back in time. Me and you coached football for several years. I remember specifically, we talked about this. We would go to certain areas like maybe South Central LA, and this was after 92. This is probably in the mid to late 90s. And we would go there for a game. So usually, if it's a day game, we'd get there early because we're going to go buy water and ice for the players. And I remember like saying, there's no grocery stores around here. Oh, wait, there's one there. Oh, that one, it's burned down. There's one there. It's closed down. They never came back. See, that's what these knuckleheads don't understand is the people that live in these communities, right? The little old lady who's 70 years old. They need those places. They need the Target, and they need the AutoZone. Maybe they don't have a brand new car. Maybe they go there every few months to buy the stuff to change the oil. Now they have to drive, 20 minutes out of the way, or now the little old lady who pushes her little cart. Because I see it here in the city I live. I see little old ladies pushing their little carts. They walk to the grocery store, get their little, their little old lady carts, the little stand-up carts, put their food in it, and they walk back home. What are those people going to do?
It's sad because you want to ask the guys who are building the buildings, are you going to go around and give all these people a ride where they need to be? The single mother who's got 3 kids and, she needs these stores. So how's she going to get there now?
She needs Target to maybe buy her diapers and her baby formula or school's coming up and maybe her kid.
Violence
she can't
is
afford,
not the answer for violence.
No. She can't afford to take her kid to the fancy Mall of America and shop at J. Crew or Abercrombie or whatever these stores are called. Maybe she's got to go buy her kids' school clothes at Target. There's no shame in that. But now the Target's gone, and guess what? Target's not coming back now. I mean, they might come back.
No, they're not going to come back.
Well, not right away.
Well, not only that, but then you got to look at the fact that things just have to get better, and we have to understand that burning buildings and hurting people on the streets and attacking the officers, it's not going to help. We need reform. We need retraining. We need to fix what's broken in society. And it starts with our youth. It starts with the understanding.
You're right. But here's I'll elaborate on that. And I had this discussion like Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans. No one group is going to change the other. It has to come from within. It's like if I tell somebody something, if I tell somebody of the opposite gender something, they say to me, "Well, don't mansplain to me," or if I tell somebody of the opposite ethnicity, "Well, don't white-splain to me," even though we're multiracial, we're all mixed up. Anyways, so. That's what I'm saying. No African American group is going to let a group of white people, politicians, tell them how to change, and vice versa. They're not going to tell white people how to change, or Hispanics how to change, or Asians. It has to be from within. It's got to be the people in their community saying, we need to change our train of thought, how we think.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to allow, and just for the simple fact that people are prideful and have egos, they're not going to let somebody come up and tell you how you need to change. You need to change this about yourself. It's like, who the fuck are you going to tell me?
Well, I think this whole...
change yourself first.
Yeah. I think this whole pandemic thing has always had a feel of control to me. And I was telling my wife the other day, my days of going to a restaurant are over. I'm not going to be subjected to prove that I'm related to my children and my wife or have somebody taking my temperature or whatever. I'm just not going to put myself through that.
No,
I see that we're making provisions for Disneyland. It's like, Our priorities are all screwed up. So, like I said, I was telling my wife, if I was the president of the United States, I would start with one thing and go from there. And you look at the big problem that we're having right now. Obviously, we have the homelessness issue. We've got the unemployment issue with even before COVID-19. But we have to fix our law enforcement. I remember when I was a kid, there was a cop named Officer Walker that came to our street. He was a hero to us. He used to bring us baseball cards and deputized us. He was a good cop. He talked to us about life.
Stuff.
You can't, that connection is gone. And we have to find a way to kind of like, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good cops out there. But I hate to say it, it's few or far between. They're afraid to step up and say anything for fear of losing their job or being targeted.
And losing that pension.
And the thing is, you know, they have to understand all they're doing is bringing more pain onto themselves, because this is just this level. I just heard today that an officer in, I believe it was Utah or Ohio, got killed, got shot.
Utah?
This is going to start. People are going to start. I mean, you already see they're attacking officers. I saw an officer get hit and he had this look on his face like, you hit me? It's like, that's what happens when you hit somebody. You're going to get hit back. You know? Yeah. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see people on the street get hurt. I don't want to see officers get hurt. So we need to come together, because I'll tell you right now, all we're doing is weaken ourselves as a nation. And we're setting a bad example for our children. An example that shows that you don't have to respect for anything. And if they're not going to respect the president, if they're not going to respect law enforcement, they're not going to respect their parents. You know what I'm saying?
Or their neighbors, or their bosses, or, you know, where's my safe space, you know? Insubordination is probably at an all-time high. And I bet if you're a boss now and you manage people, you're just like, you got a rule book this thick on what you can and can't say to people. Don't walk up and say, "Hey guys, how's everybody doing today?" Ooh, I meant people. How's everybody doing today? You know, God damn, it's like navigating a minefield today in 2020.
But we're gonna go ahead and close out here pretty soon because I'm burning up in this studio. But you know, it was a little shaky today, but it was a good conversation. I know we kind of got off the boxing topic, but there's not a whole lot going on in boxing right now. But believe me, my brother right now, we're gonna be back next week, and I'm gonna let him elaborate on a little bit. Talk to him a little bit about the thing with the writers, Mike, and what's going on in boxing.
I'm sorry, with the what?
Well, you were talking to me about with guys like Marcus Villegas and stuff like this.
Oh yeah. Okay, I wanted to touch on that a little bit, and we'll close with this subject. So, a good friend of mine, Mike Montero, runs the channel Montero Unboxing, and he's pretty successful. I mean, he doesn't have 100,000 subscribers, but he does very, very well. He's a knowledgeable guy, and he spends time in boxing gyms and whatnot. But anyways, I was watching his video yesterday. I actually called in and was talking to him, and he was part of what he was talking about was there was a group of people that got together, and you know, everybody's doing these group these collaborations, I guess you would call them. And this one specifically was, I think it was Marcos Villegas, the guy from the UK, Kugan Cassius, Radio Raheem. Everybody knows who Radio Raheem is, and then Michelle Joy Phelps from Behind the Ropes. Well, you know, out of all those people, I like Radio Raheem. I think he does a pretty decent job. I think Marcos Villegas does a pretty good job as well. Don't really care for the other two, because to me they're like the way that they conduct interviews, they're groupies. And in the music industry, they're just groupies. They just want to be there. Hey, let me carry your snare for you, AJ, because they just want to kind of be there, you know. So, anyways, they were talking about, and specifically, I think Michelle was talking about, you know, this entire COVID thing has disrupted their entire platform, because nobody's doing interviews, nobody's, there's no fights. The fights that are scheduled now, they've pretty much banned all media. You have YouTube boxing media, and then you have real boxing media. Guys like Mike Coppinger, Steve Kim, Doug Fisher, Dan Rafael, before he got fired from ESPN. These are like real boxing writers. And I'm not writers who actually are paid to write stories and do interviews by major media outlets, platforms, whether it's print or TV. Anyways, the whole thing was, well, what are these promoters going to do for us? Are they going to have our back the way we had their back? And I actually commented on the video because it made me laugh. this is obviously somebody who knows nothing about boxing and the long sordid history of boxing that goes back 100+ years. I've seen fighters, and you have as well, that once they're used up, once they are of no more relevant value to a promoter, they will cast them to the side like a banana peel that you just throw it in the trash when they get everything they can out of it. And this is not directed at any one promoter, but it's been happening for decades. It continues to happen. It's happened as recently. I think the one that comes to mind most recently, because it was the most tragic, was Daniel Twitch Franco, the kid right here from Rancho Cucamonga, the professional fighter that was fighting under Rock Nation, right? Yeah. Under James Prince and that guy, I can't remember, Michael Yoram, whatever. Anyways, he was fighting under that banner, and the kid had suffered a horrible injury in the ring, almost died, was in a medically induced coma. They had to remove part of his skull. I mean, he's back now. Obviously, his career came to an end immediately, but it's been a long journey back for him. And he's, we've communicated a couple times on Twitter. And he's a good kid. He was a hell of a young fighter that fought his heart out, and he was just cast aside like nothing. So if they get cast aside somebody who puts their life on the line, what do they give a shit about your YouTube boxing channel?
They don't.
They don't. And Radio Raheem said it about the 11-minute market video. He shook his head and he was telling Michelle, says, they don't care. And here's a guy that knows. It's like,
you can get they don't care. You're just another person looking for a media pass.
That's it. You just want your media credential. You can get all the Botox, lip fillers, and breast implants you want. At the end of the day, you're disposable because the platforms might be changing. I think a lot of promoters and guys that I've talked to, trainers, and you have kind of soured on these guys coming around the gyms and asking stupid questions and shit and just being just basically making comments or taking things out of context and then titling their videos that way so that they can generate clicks. It's clickbait, but some fighters don't like that. There's a respect amongst fighters. I'm not talking about when Ryan Garcia and Tank trash talk back and forth on Twitter or whoever it is, or Jojo Diaz and Tevin Farmer. I'm talking at the end of the day, fighters respect each other because they're all in this game together. They've all sacrificed their lives, their health. They put it on the line, not only in fighting, but every day when they get in that ring and they spar, they're taking punches.
Yeah.
So these people need to understand that, look up the word expendable and you're going to see your face right next to it in the dictionary because you are expendable. Oh, you do not drive ticket sales. You do not drive pay-per-view buys. You drive clicks on your YouTube channel. You have a self-serving nature to feed yourself off of the blood, sweat, and tears of people that really do it. We never allow that shit in our gym. One time somebody came into the gym and did an interview when Johnny wasn't around, because if Johnny would have been there, he basically said, I don't want any of these people there at the gym unless
I know you're talking about. You talked to me about it.
Unless they contact us directly and ask for permission. And when you come into that gym, you're not going to ask a bunch of stupid questions. If you have an agenda, you want to do a 15-minute interview, fine. You're not going to sit there and just hang around. We don't let people just hang around at the gym. Yeah. I mean, some gyms do. Sadly, some gyms do. It seems like, I know Wildcard for a long time let any and I think
I couldn't even just hang around. I had to do something. Like AJ go in the water. AJ do something,
And I think even Freddie Roach got a little tired of it too and started banning people from the gym because it's a distraction. It really is a distraction.
Well, at Mayweather's gym, if you're hanging around, they put you in the ring.
Well, yeah, and like I said, when it's time to spar, they close it and they take your cell phone. If they don't know you, you're leaving. Renee was telling me the story of when Cepeda was sparring Mayweather for the Pacquiao fight. Everybody else, all the other sparring partners there, were allowed to have one person with them, almost like the situation for this fight coming up. One person with you. Who are these other 2-3 people? Goodbye. There's the exit.
They don't want to
leave the gym right now. We don't need you here. And
because in case something happens, like let's say Chone knocked out to Mayweather, they don't want to have all the witnesses. It's easier just to discredit one person. It's like
if anybody's ever heard the term value add. You're not adding value to our boxing gym. You're a distraction. You're just another person pissing on the toilet seat, right?
You're right, bro.
Or wasting a paper towel, or
Well, like I said, man, all we can do is we're going to continue to do what we're doing. We've ran into bumps and technical issues. But I think once we get things rolling, what we're saying is right. We're not trying to say we're the authority, but we're guys who have been a part of boxing their entire life, whether in the ring or we're always going to be fans. And the thing is that we have boxing's better interests when we talk. We're not looking to get likes. We're not asking. I can care less how many subscribers. I really don't care. I'm in this because this gives us an opportunity to kind of show another side of boxing that maybe a lot of people don't see, with a lot of the contacts that you made and friendships. And, and it's been memorable. 2020, 2019 was memorable years. I got to see a person who I became a friend with through you, and the Gladiator John Molina, fight his last fight of his career. And as much as it hurt, thank you for the memories. And also some of the new fighters that are coming up, not to mention the guidance and the wisdom that we've gotten from Robert Alcazar, who's an amazing trainer, but I think a human developer. He doesn't just train a person to be a boxer. He trains a boxer to be a man.
It's true.
Which is really good. He did it with De La Hoya, and he's doing it with a lot of other people.
And sometimes you don't always get the credit. He doesn't always get the credit of some of the I guess. Well, in the year 2020, some of the more known guys like the Manny Robles and whatever. But if you look at the body of work, to me, there's nobody that's done it like Robert's done it. There just isn't. There's a few guys. Emmanuel Stewart, who's no longer with us, he was a guy that built people from scratch. Very few guys really have. I mean, back in the day, there were trainers like Georgie Benton and stuff who had a fighter and they stuck with that fighter their whole career because there was more loyalty back then. Everybody now, they just want instant gratification. If something doesn't work, I'm gonna blame this trainer and then move on. And here's one thing, we'll close on this when we talk about Robert Alcazar. I saw a video recently, and I lost count of how many videos I saw with people putting the camera in Manny Robles' face and asking him questions about Andy Ruiz. And there were times when Andy was diplomatic, and there were times Manny, he was diplomatic, and then there were times you could see that he was still maybe emotionally a little bit hurt, and he exuded that in the interview. And for lack of a better term, he kind of seemed a little bit butthurt. And no disrespect to Manny Robles, because I don't know Manny, but I know two people that work with him, and he's a good guy and a good trainer. But it takes a real dedicated trainer and somebody who respects the sport and respects these fighters on more than just a boxing level to respectfully decline to be interviewed. You know how many times people have shoved microphones trying to get an interview out of Robert? Well, what happened back when De La Hoya? I wish
a lot of people don't know the story.
They don't.
And it doesn't really matter. But the thing is that you're talking about a guy who built a fighter in De La Hoya to not just be a great champion, multiple champion, but the biggest thing in the sport, and kept him humble and kept him on path. Now, whatever happened later on in De La Hoya's career happened, but it was Robert Alcazar who basically drove that car and got it to where it needed to be. Because Oscar was dealing with a lot of demons. Everybody knows that knows Oscar personally. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you would never see Robert Alcazar go out there and say, when his association with De La Hoya split, where he would blame Oscar or degrade Oscar. Because at one point, and still to today, he considers Oscar a son. And there's still a place at his dinner table, I'm sure. And the thing is, he's a true gentleman. And I look at fighters that are coming up that are under Robert's wing right now, and I hope they understand that they don't just have a trainer. They've got that parental part, that leader, that companion, that older person that's kind of been there, done that. And he's not going to steer you wrong, because he's not in this for money. He's not in this for fame. He's not in this for Twitter, clicks and YouTube this. He's in it for the sport. But
he respects the sport.
He does, and he respects the fighters he's with.
And the sport's been good to him, and then at times it's been bad to him. With some the way some fighters have kind of did him wrong and whatnot. But like I said, even with recently with the split with Munguia, that was never personal. I was there sitting with them at a table when that split took place. And I hope I'm not speaking, this is not something that's not common. I was sitting with them at that table when that took place. And I'm telling you right now, it was very, very hard for Jaime Munguia to have that conversation with Robert. It was very hard. He was hurt because he respected Robert very much.
He still does.
He still does. And he still... And
I saw an interview just recently where he spoke about Robert. He spoke good things about him. I mean, Jaime loves him. End of the day.
He does. And when he comes across from TJ up here to Southern California, LA area, he'll call Robert. He'll go to Robert's house. He'll go grab something to eat. Much respect there. But why? Why do you think that is? Now, if Robert would have went out there and said, well, Jaime this and Jaime this dedication, and he doesn't listen to me.
Like you said, kind of like what Manny Robles did.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, what Abel Sanchez did with Gennady. He did the same thing.
Yeah, he did the same thing with Gennady. And I can imagine if Canelo tomorrow decided to leave the Reynosos and go somewhere, I can imagine the same thing. Maybe not so much from Chepo, the father, but I can guarantee you, Eddie Reynoso, you could see it. He would... Well, he had this, he that, he got to this. He started making too much money and wanted to be the boss.
Like I said, once things kind of get cleared up, we can maybe get an interview with Robert, talk about boxing. We're gonna get some good interviews coming up. Yeah. We're gonna interview Robert. We're gonna interview Sean Cepeda during this camp. We're gonna interview a couple of other fighters, and there's a couple of other fighters that are supposed to hopefully be coming on board very soon. And then once that's confirmed, then that's one thing I think we need to focus more on going forward is we need to do these sit downs. Yeah.
Because we could do these sit downs and really, get into natural setting and not just a phone or a Skype. But we could sit down and if we have to do a phone or a Skype for the time being, we'll do that as well. But
we have the studio, like I said, the one that we've done before, and we'll just put it back there. So in that, a couple shout outs, not like for publicity. Like to give let's see,
what do they call it, a shout out?
Yeah, whatever, just like I want to congratulate my old stablemate who recently got into the West Coast Hall of Fame,
West Coast Boxing Hall of Fame,
former WBC bantamweight champion of the world, the real Paul Behnke. Congratulations, Paul.
Yeah, we've seen Paul over the years many times, and we matter of fact spent time with him in Montebello as well. He's a good guy, man. There's a guy that you talk about a story. Hey, get out and buy his book and read his book. I can't remember the title of the book, but I know that I kind of breezed through it briefly. I'm not much of a reader, but he's got a book about him. Who knows? Maybe one day there might be a movie about him.
It's a great book.
He's got a hell of a story.
Really good. I read some experts on it. I didn't get a copy, but it's really good. And Paul talks about a lot I know some of the situations because I was around there at that time, but Paul was a guy who, he lived life on the edge. And he knew what he did, but he never ran away from a fight.
Years ago, I was sitting with him at an amateur boxing event in Riverside, California. This was probably 15 years ago, and he was telling me about these parties that he used to go to. He called him Dr. Buzz, Jerry Buzz, because he fought at the Forum multiple times. So whenever you fought at the Forum, back then Dr. Buzz was part of at the time he was like a co-boxing promoter. I mean, he had the Lakers and everything, but because the fight was at the Forum, he took like on a co-promotional stance. And he was telling me about this one specific party he went to, and he named all the people that were there. This is back in the 80s. Everybody was there. Wayne Gretzky and all these people, and I'll leave the details out, but Paul lived on the edge, but that was the lifestyle there. When you were famous
he's got a channel too. I believe it's called Boxing Family, but I'll double check it. I'll have links to his and to his book at our next show, our next live stream.
Yeah.
And then belated happy birthday to our guitarist Vicious V, to my niece, my beautiful niece, Ilana.
Wait. When was Val's birthday?
Yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. Shit, I forgot to tell him. Oops. Sorry, Val.
It's okay. And then
wait, we saw him yesterday.
Huh?
We saw him yesterday.
Oh no, the day before yesterday. I just wanted to do another one. And then, as you know, we lost former welterweight champion of the world, Curtis Cokes, who was also.
Curtis Cokes died?
Curtis Cokes passed away. But for like I said, get ready. Boxing's gonna come back stronger than ever. We got Chon Cepeda coming up, Ivan Brenchak, amongst others. I look for the next big fight from Jaime Munguia at the middleweight division. We got Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders, and who knows who else. There's going to be a lot of good stuff coming on.
Yeah. I think everybody's going to be very, very. Every promoter's going to be eager to put the best fights on possible because they need to kind of recoup. You know, boxing is a machine, and you know it's like any production line. When it stops, revenue stops, and when revenue stops, that's not good. So they need to kind of get it, recharge.
And I don't want to hear that boxing needs to follow the UFC's blueprint, because my own father would tell me, "I'm going to learn nothing from you," meaning him talking to me. Boxing is going to learn nothing from the UFC. Everything that they know, they learned from boxing. End of story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peace out.
So for my mighty brother Mike and AJ Rage, this was Enter the Ring. If my son was here, he'd say like hit that like button and that. I don't know any of that stuff because I don't know how long we're going to be on YouTube.
Hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications.
But,
and donate to us at your local food bank.
Yeah. Tops Blue Ribbon and that new El Pollo Local meal. But hey, everybody have a wonderful night. Be safe. Bro, I'll see you tomorrow. Pull some with the beer. We'll get everything ready for the next show. I guarantee you, this is going to be a big year for Enter the Ring Live. Get ready, people. Late.